Strength on strength. Matchup that I believe is very, very important. Brian talked to you earlier today about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right tackle. His name is Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
He was a rookie last year, and he was a stud last year. It was an incredible offensive line class. Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills in Cleveland, Mekhi Becton with the Jets. Lots of offensive tackles that are going to be really good for a long time.
So you say Tank's going to have his hands full?
Tank lines up on the defense's left, the offense is right, and that is where Tristan Wirfs lines up. And Tank is, until Micah Parsons proves otherwise, Tank is the best player on this defense. And he is going against their best offensive lineman, for my money. And it'll just be interesting to see where it's like, well, welcome back, Tank. We first got to Oxnard, and I was like, man, Tank looks a little light. Tank's not going to practice for a while, but how much practice did he really get in before we get going? Is he totally ready to go? Because you are going to need Tank Lawrence, and he's going up against another really tough dude.
Yeah, and I thought when Tristan Wirfs came out, there was a player that he reminded me of way back in the day, Walter Jones, that played at Seattle, that was just so big. You know, he was 6'5", he's 320 pounds. He's light-footed. He's really powerful. He gets movement in the running game. If you take him wide, he can go with you. If you try and work him back underneath, he can slam the door on you there. This is where I think that Tank, and the one thing I always appreciate about Tank's game is he's not going to just rush one way. He is going to make Tristan Wirfs have to defend him up the field. I said, back underneath, spin moves. I mean, he's going to have to throw a lot of different moves at Wirfs to kind of get him off his game. It's going to be a tough matchup. I like what you're talking about, strength on strength there, because I think that could be a wash. And some of these, if it's a wash, it's fine. And if you win overall, when I get through all of these, then you're probably in really good shape.
Yeah. On this one with Tank, a lot of offensive coordinators like to double team Tank. If what's his name,
Tristan Wirfs.
If Wirfs can hold him one-on-one, that's going to be bad news for the Cowboys defensive line because the interior is so weak.
Well,
and Randy Gregory needs to be able to explode. If they can just have one guy on Tank, that's problems for the Cowboys.
Yeah, from what I saw watching the game tape, they will keep Gronkowski in as a blocker. He doesn't like to do it, but he'll play as a wing or he'll play to an inline on that side. So if you see one of these defensive ends having some success, their adjustment will to be put one of those tight ends over there and make that guy have to run around two guys.
Strength on strength matchup number 2 that will determine the outcome of Cowboys versus Buccaneers. Tyron Smith versus Jason Pierre-Paul, who is still a good football player. He's been doing it for a long time. He no longer has all of his fingers.
With and without.
But it doesn't stop him from being really good at football, which was surprising to me. I thought you might need the vast majority of your fingers. He's managing to do it without. And, Brian, you mentioned their defensive ends will flip.
Yeah.
I'm going with what you would list as the starter would be Pierre-Paul on the offense's left, Shaq Barrett on the offense's right. So Tyron Smith versus JPP.
Yeah, this is when you start to talk about these are Jason Pierre-Paul and Tyron Smith.
They know each other.
They know each other from the Giants days and stuff like that. So yeah, this will be one. And I give Jason Pierre-Paul a lot of credit, and not just because of what happened to him with the hand.
Because he's missing fingers?
Yeah, but he went to Tampa and actually kind of got it going again.
Yeah.
I thought, man, this is the end of this guy's career. He's a South Florida guy. He's always been a guy that's been a problem to deal with because he's got that slinky kind of ability. He could get low, can run around you and stuff. But Tyron Smith has battled against him. I'll be interested to see what happens on the other side with Lyle Collins, and maybe getting a.
Yeah, look at you see Brian over here doing radio?
Mm-hmm.
That's a segue. Yeah. Strength on strength number 3.
Ding, 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 ding.
Lyle Collins versus Shaq Barrett.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay is going to bring good pass rushers.
Yeah.
And the early returns on Joe Tryon, their rookie defensive end, are very good too.
Yeah, he's a good player.
They got some guys that can rush the passer off the edge. So You've got two established really good offensive tackles on Thursday night. You better be really good offensive tackles because they are bringing a lot to the party rushing the passer. And Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins, you got to be the anchor that gives Dak somewhere to go if things aren't real good up the middle. The outside's got to be good because the up the middle we'll get to in a later matchup. Yep. Next one is more of a question. Because I wasn't sure where to put this one. I put it in strength on strength, but I think that's optimistic for the Cowboys. Trevon Diggs versus Mike Evans.
Are you saying Mike Evans has fallen off?
No, I'm saying Mike Evans is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Is it fair to throw Trevon Diggs in there because he's the Cowboy corner we have with the most expectation? Would you say that Trevon Diggs you expect him to be a strength of this team?
Oh, okay, so he may be the best corner.
He's the best one we got.
I don't consider him a shutdown corner. I don't think he's as good as Byron Jones was before he left. I think he's got upside, but I think Mike Evans is way ahead of him.
Yeah, the thing that you have to like about Diggs versus Evans is that
I want Diggs covering size.
Yeah, that's where it's going to be at. You want your most competitive guy to be able to handle their big, in my opinion, their biggest threat when it comes to down the field, inside routes, things like that. Guy, he's going to go get the football. And the one thing that Diggs can go do is he can defend somebody tall going to get the football. And he's not going to back down. I think that's a really, really good matchup. The Buccaneers might try and see if they're going to think that maybe that Diggs is going to be a little handsy, hold, maybe get some penalties from him that way. We've seen that kind of happen with him. But that is, if the Cowboys are going to be able to be even in a matchup, that probably will be the best one.
That means AB is wide open.
And Chris Godwin, yeah. Yeah, we'll get there too.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll get there too. Oh. Strength on strength, I have one more. Tell me if it's fair or unfair to call this strengths of each team. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard versus Devin White and Levante David, the Tampa Bay linebackers. If you can give them running room or if you're getting the ball to those guys when you're throwing to your running backs, this is one of the best linebacker duos in football. Can you find a way to make these guys miss? Can you find a way if the offensive line gets you past the defensive line? Can you find a way to make, I don't have it in front of me, but I'd imagine they're both Pro Bowlers last year. Can you make some hay against Pro Bowl linebackers?
Can you get the first down?
I think this is going to be very difficult for the Cowboys to run. The Buccaneers, with what they have with Vita Vea, with Sue, Golston, the linebackers, Nunes Roches, I mentioned him. They're a hard team to run the ball on.
Are you trying to say that Zeke's yardage is going to be dirty yards? Just nothing but dirty yards?
It's going to be tough. I mean, I just don't – I mean, to me, it's going to be – can you get and when you have to deal with down linemen that are that big and they hold you up on the line, they're holding you up and they're not letting you get to the second level to block David and block White and those guys. So they're running to the football and they're filling and getting there, and they're good tacklers. That's the problem. And that's why people have a hard time running the ball against Tampa, is because you can't move the front and you can't get somebody up on the linebacker. If you
is that Biadish's responsibility, those linebackers?
Yeah, I mean it's guards. It's it's scoop blocks, it's reach blocks, and when I mean that, it's combination blocks. And if you got two guys stuck on trying to move Vita Vea, and then all of a sudden now the linebacker's running free, that's just a clean shot right there on one of those Cowboy running backs.
And Devin White is one of those linebackers that it looks like it hurts a lot when he hits you.
Yeah.
Like he is a big old – I actually think Levante David is their better linebacker, but Devin White is the one that looks like it hurts a whole lot when he hits you, and I would not like to play against him.